Please, you can leave your comments in the chat. Are you ready? Are you ready? So we can start. Is your system loaded up? Are you on the Microsoft Excel data? So that when I start, I don't leave I don't leave people behind. Okay, Steve is saying yes. All right, Steve. Okay. All right, so I think everybody's ready. So let's just start then. Okay. So remember at the beginning I said there is no analysis that is going to be done without a purpose. Now, there is a request from the board, right? Hold on, please. Let me give me a minute. Okay. All right. So there is a request from the board, and they said they want to know let's say because I don't want us to just just go into it without having it look like it is. All right, tell Makinwa is here. So I don't want us to just start without making it look like it's like a live sample. So let's say the first request is they want to know the number of full number of staff, right? Then the same number of staff per department. That's the second aspect. They want to know, let's say we are trying to push for a business case here. We want to say for those that are managers and above, yeah, we want to push for a business case of a 50% increment to their monthly salary. And for those that are lesser than managers, we want to say give them 30 and 20, that kind of distribution. Now there's hold on. There's the salary increment business case. Please let me know if you can see what I'm typing. Can you all see what I'm typing?
I can.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So let's go to the HR data again. Let's see. We are trying to create a board request now. So let's say, okay, we want to know how many locations. How many locations do we currently have? Right? We want to know how many staff do we have per location? Yeah. Then grades. These informations that are here are normal informations that the board actually always requests. I don't know if how many of us does board meetings or attends board meetings. So these particular informations are informations that constantly the board will always request. So in case you are, gets involved with any of this at any time, this would actually help you. So I would have loved for us to look at attrition, but then we don't have any attrition rate data. So maybe in the next training that we are going to be coming up with, we'll be pushing for an attrition. I know a lot of you during your responses, you want attrition, but if we include attrition to this particular one that we want to do, it will take a long time for us to complete. So for now, we'll just be working with this little that we have. So now let's say we want to check recruitment trend. And we want to see the best recruiter. Now, this is for a company that works for, this is a recruitment company, a consulting company. Now, we want to know the recruitment trend over the years. I want to know the best recruiter. Now, this is the board request here. So we might even do more of this, more than this. Now, let's fall back to the Excel formula that we'll be working with during this particular data. Can you all see where I'm on right now? Give me a minute. Okay. All right. Can we all see this page now? Okay. So I need to be able to see responses from people. If somebody is in the waiting room, I have to let okay, 2 people are in the waiting room. Hold on. I need to let people in so that while I'm doing this, I'm not setting people out of this particular sharing. So please, at any point you didn't get me, please let me know. Please let me know, because I don't want to have to be leave you behind while I'm working. So these are basic formulas that we are going to be touching. Some of them we are going to be using in the HR data. Well, most of them we are going to be, I'm just going to be showing you how it works. Okay, so let's insert here. Now let's see formulas that we will not be needing here. I'll be creating a new sheet that would show us how to actually use those formulas. Like the sum if, like the count will be using it in the HR data. We have the count if, count in according to a particular prescription. The if formula, the if here is saying if this equal to this, count it. Do you understand? That's just literally what the formula is saying. Then there's stream. All of these are basics. There's concatenate, there's text column, there's conditional formatting, there's autofill and autocolumn. The autofill and autocolumn was the first thing that I did. If you saw while I was trying to this is what the view code is also called a VBA. So if you're working with the VBA, this is the kind of display that I don't know if you guys are seeing this. Can you guys see the view code option that is opened? Hello.
The formula sheet.
You're still seeing the formula sheet. Okay, all right. Give me a minute.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Hold on, please. I think I'll need to share the whole screen. Let me stop sharing and then share the whole screen so that I can. Okay. So now I'm sharing the whole screen. Now you guys, okay, now you can see, Dabi. You can see, right?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, so this is what is called the view code under the Visual Basics of Microsoft Excel. Now, what this particular formula that I have inputted does is that it helps while you are typing into each cells, rather than having you what's it called manually adjust the lines. Like, let me say, for example, if I want to say list of applicants in 2017, no, oh, sorry, 2017 to 2018. As you can see, it's automatically changing. In some places, you see it this way. So that you now have to start double tapping. So for this HR data, how we're going to now do this is click anywhere on the sheet. Click anywhere on the sheet below the first name, anywhere you want to click on the sheet. Just make sure it is on this particular HR data sheet. Then you can now right click. If I'm too fast, please let me know so that we can go into this. At this point, you can open your mics because I can't see the chats because of the view that I am on. At this point, you can open your mics if you want to say something, please. If you want to say anything, you can open your mic and speak so that I can hear you while I am working. So you can right click. You will see this option that says view code. You click on it, then it brings you here. So let's clear this. Let's do it over again. So what you would be typing here is cells, because we are working with Microsoft Excel cells. Now, after the cell, we are going to be entering entire column. As you can see, it's already up, right? You can double tap it, press another full stop. What is here is full stop. After cells, there is a full stop. You will see that there will be an automatic drop down that will bring about this entire column. If you don't see it, you can just type entire column and then auto fit. I want you guys to see how it will look like aspect. Can you all see it? Auto fit. All right. So we've done this. You press enter again. Press the same cells. Full stop. Now entire row. Oh, this is entire column. Entire row. Full stop. Then auto fit. Is if I'm going too fast, let me know so that I can fall back. I keep repeating this so we are not stuck. So if I come here now and just type anything. Now you see it has gone beyond the lines, that's gone beyond the cells. If I press full stop, it's going to adjust automatically. Rather than having to go through the long space, if I delete, it's supposed to come back to the form. Yes, now it's come back to this particular form. Now you can either do that or select the data that you've copied and pasted and press Alt-HOI. Alt-HOI is the formula, is the shortcut that you can use to expand each cells. Now, falling back to the HR data, now let's start. Let's start with the okay, Tuminu is entering the room. So now let's start with the HR data. Now, as you can see, I left some places blank because we are going to use formulas to get data from them. You can see the serial number, the employee ID, first name, last name, full name, date of hire, tenure in years. This is a formula that you can also use to get tenure in years. You can see the integer, you can see tenure in range, you can see the year of hire, confirmation status. There's a formula that we can use to get that as well. There's the grade, there's the staff grade breakdown, there's formula for that as well. There's location, date of birth, age, gender, age range, marital status, names of recruiters. Remember, I said we are working based on a request from the board because it's a recruitment firm. So we have names of recruiters and we have sample of monthly gross, right? So after we have been able to analyze this and create like a chart for them, I'll be showing you how to generate this particular sample data and the formulas that we use for them as well. So please, at any point you don't get what I'm saying or you didn't hear me, please let me know, call my attention to it. So we didn't include some of the data because of the request from the board. We don't really need them here, but there are some extra data that you need to add here, like performance for each year. You can add your performance for each year. You can add any other thing you want to add. You can do that if that's your HR database. But because we are creating a database from scratch, we didn't include all those unnecessary ones because we didn't need them for this request. Remember, the request we are working on is the number of staff. We need to know the number of staff. We need to know the number of staff per department. We need to know we need to build a business case around salary increment. What are we going to be totaling at, and what's going to be the variance, the previous monthly gross and the current monthly gross, to know how much more is going to be adding to the cost for the company. Number of locations, number of staff per locations, and the grades, recruitment trends, and the best recruiter. So let's fall back. So first name, last name. We don't need any more information here. So this is the first interface for the beginners and the novice This is the first interface. This is what Excel looks like. I know you must have seen Excel a couple of times, but then this is what you come across. Now we would double click this. If you bring your cursor to the bottom right of this particular selected item, I've selected the first name, last name, because we don't need difference in it. We are not working with names. So you can double click it. It drops down to the end of the data. I mean, to the end of the sheet. To the end of the data itself. So you have full name as well. Now we are going to be starting our formula with the concatenate. Now what concatenate does is that it's a conjunction formula. It joins two particular data cells together. It joins two cells together. As this place is showing first name and this is saying last name, the full name is Thomas Henderson. Now there's another formula that you can use if you want it to display in capital letter, but all those ones we don't need it now. We're just going to be working with the ones we need today. So if you want an easy route, you can click this, double click this and let it drop down. But for this purpose of this training, I'm going to be showing you how to do this. Some of you might know it. For those of you that are intermediate, I know this is not new to you. This is for those that are between the space of novice and beginner. That's why we are going through this basic Microsoft Excel formulas, and because they make up the most of my respondents. So for us to come to this, you need to type in, just tap underneath the cell E3. Tap underneath this name because the formula is already there. You tap underneath this. Now remember, for every formula you write in Microsoft Excel, you need to start with the equal to sign. Because if you just go in and type the if, for example, and you press tab, it's not doing anything. It's just like you are telling Excel that you are writing in text. But for us to insert a particular formula, you need to start with equal to. Now, you would write equal to, then spell concatenate. Concatenate is spelled as CONCATE. C-O-N-C-A-T-E. Now, you can either come here and double tap, or you can press the tab button. Now, the tab button will just automatically helps you fill in the formula and opens a parenthesis. Now, the formulas become active when the open bracket is initiated, when it is opened. Yeah. If you don't add the open bracket, there's nothing else there. Do you understand? You cannot start a formula without the opening parenthesis. So once you open parenthesis, you now select text 1. The text 1 is the first name, which is on C4. Right? As you have selected the text 1, to now be able to move to the next formula, you have to use the comma. The comma in Microsoft Excel is telling Microsoft Excel that, okay, I'm done with this statement, move to the next one. So we've selected the first text. Now we want to put a space, because if we don't put a space between the first name and the last name, it would come out like this. So we've selected the first name, second name, close parentheses. If I press enter, it comes out like this. You can see the difference between the second name and the first name. There's no spacing between the first name and the second name. And the last name for this one. So how to impute space is you use the quotation symbol, space quotation symbol. So this is how to tell Microsoft Excel that, okay, I've selected the first name and I've selected the last name, but I want space to be in between. So you have text 1, text 2, which is the space bar, and text 3, which is this full the last name. Now you have Thomas Henderson. Now let's say, okay, Thomas Henderson leaves, and now I'm replacing Thomas Henderson with Tomori. As you can see, I've not put in the last name, but it's showing me Tomori Henderson. So if I say I'm putting the last name as Tomori Maiwa, it's automatically going to change to Tomori Maiwa. So because the formula is already there, now we have that. Now, so you can now drop down, use this drop down, option to fill the rest. Are we following? Please, I need somebody to say something. I feel like I'm talking to myself.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm following.
Okay. All right. So is this particular formula clear?
Yes, please,
Very.
can you show us how you added the space one more time? I didn't get that part
Okay.
very well.
All right. So let me delete this. Okay. So let's even clear this now. Now this is a blank space here. We now say, okay, equals to concatenate. Yeah. So select the first text, which is the first name. Then comma. Remember, comma is telling Microsoft Excel that we want to move to the next statement, which is selecting the next text. The next text will now be the space bar, which is quotation mark, space, quotation mark. Quotation mark is helping Microsoft to understand that we are putting a text here. The selection of the cell, C4 is the cell. Anything can be in C4. It can be number, it can be text, it can be it can be symbols, it can be icons, whatever it is. We've selected the cell, but because we want Microsoft Excel to know that we are selecting a text, we have used the quotation mark. If you want to add anything, any formula that you're writing in Microsoft Excel, you need to include quotation mark to each text. So we have put text there to tell Microsoft Excel that, okay, include a space here. And then there's comma to select the next statement, which is the last name. So there's the first name, space, quotation mark, space, quotation mark, comma, then the last name. Is it clear? Do you understand?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So we have gone beyond that now. Then you can now double tap on the far right button. Now, we already have a data that says that told us the date of hire. So we don't need to do anything here. There's no formula here. Sorry. There's no formula needed here. Now we want to know the tenure of hire. As you can see, I've already put up the date difference. Now, this one looks quite complicating, but let me tell you what the date difference does. Yeah. Let's say I want to know the difference between two dates. In date difference, you need two different dates. Yeah. You need the start date and the end date. Oh, why am I spelling dates like this? The end date. Now, let's say we want to check Isabella's birthday, for example, or we want to know how old Isabella is in terms of years. Let's say Isabella was born 15th of July. Isabella, I don't know if you are this old or if you are younger. Pardon my, I'm just using that as a sample. Let's say she's born 15th of July 1997. You might be older. Now, for the end date is today's date, which is, what's today's date? Okay, for us to get today's date, there's a formula, but I don't want to use the formula now so that we don't confuse what I'm doing. So today's date is 4th of May. So let's say 4th May 24, right? So we have a start date and we have an end date. For us to be able to use this formula, this date difference here, these both work the same way. You can tell you the difference between two different dates. But this one comes in with a fraction. It comes with the decimal point. But this one, it comes with a decimal point, but then it is it kind of is well structured. You can add extra details. You have extra details. You can add extra details to this one in terms of text, like 50 years, 25 years, and so on and so forth. So let's just do a sample here before we move to this one, right? So hold on, give me a minute, please. So you have, don't switch it. Please. All right. So now what the dates difference does is that we've pressed the equal to, then you now type the date, DATE DIF. Most times, Microsoft Excel will not give you a suggestion. So remember that I said, once you write date difference, this DATE DIF, open parenthesis, then you can now see that there's a drop down. Okay, you can now see that there's a drop down there. You can now start your formula. So it now says start date comma end date. Now those are the two functions or two statements that this date difference works with. There's the start date, there's the end date. So we've selected the start date, we selected the end date. We will now tell Microsoft Excel that, okay, I want to know the difference in years, right? The formula for knowing difference in years, or the statement for knowing difference in years, is the Y. Remember, for each text that we use in Microsoft Excel, it has to start and end with a quotation mark. So there is the beginning here, the quotation mark at the beginning, then there's the Y, the quotation mark at the ending, then there's the Y. Then you can now close parentheses, then press enter. Now, automatically, you can see here that Isabella, let me write Isabella's name. Ooh. So Isabella is 26 years old, according to the date difference formula. Now, if I want to say, okay, people just come, they see 26, would they know I'm talking about in years? Would they know if I'm talking about in months? Would they know if I'm talking about the date difference in whatever? So we want to include more years. We want it to say Isabella is 26 years. Now, it is only showing 26 because we've not expanded the formula. So what we wanted to do is tell us that Isabella is 26 years. Now, there's this Microsoft Excel formula and. The and is also a conjunction, just as the concatenate, but and tells Microsoft Excel that this statement I'm about to write, add it to the previous statement that has been written. So I can say, and remember, every statement that is a text needs to start with a quotation. Every statement that is a text needs to start with a quotation. So I'm saying add years, right? So if I now close this and I press enter, it will tell me that there's an adjustment that needs to be done. I think it's correcting me for something. Okay, I'm not supposed to add the extra close parentheses. So if I close this now, you can see that it's telling me that Isabella is 26 years, right? I can go on, add space in between as you please. Just you can work with it. It's Microsoft Excel. You can play, go on and on and on. So that's what date difference does. You've seen the difference between a start date, date of birth, and end date, which is today. All right, this difference is clear. Now let's go back to the HR data. Now, what we have done here is that we are telling Microsoft Excel, show me the difference between this date and this date, which is today. But because we don't have a data in today, that's why this space is giving us a numerical error. Do you understand? So we are going to find today. Now we will use a simple formula, very, very simple formula. I know a lot of our intermediate fellows will know how to use this formula, but for our novice and basic knowledge participants, I'll be telling you how to use. It runs in real time. So you can say equal to, just as the name says, today. So how this works is you open parentheses, close parentheses, and press enter. So automatically, even if I change my system date to next year, it changes to next. It works with the network date, actually. It works with network date most of the times. So now you can see that this has automatically told me that she has spent 7 years and 5 months in the system. Now let me tell you how this particular formula works. You can see the date difference. Now the first text selected is the start date. Last text selected is the end date, which is today. Then we've said, okay, show us in years. We want to know how many years. And this is the formula this is the statement that I wrote last time that I was trying to explain to you how to add years to it. Don't worry, I will still take you through it again. And another formula that says date difference, show us in months. So that's how we were able to come to 7 years and 5 months. So let's try this again under this particular statement. If you want it to just display for you, you can just use the drop down. But because of the purpose of knowledge sharing and knowledge acquisition, we are going to be trying it again. Okay, so you can use equal to What am I typing? Date difference, open parentheses. Remember, opening of parentheses means you are telling Microsoft Excel to start. That you're about to write a, a code or a statement. Open parentheses, our start date, comma, last date, end date, which is today, which we've already done a formula for that. Now, comma, we're now saying we want to know in years, close parentheses. You see that if I press enter, it's showing me, okay, it's showing me as date value. Let's select, change it to general. If you're having that error, change the number format to general so it can show you like this. So if you press this particular formula, this is what you have. Okay, so we will now do additional. We want it to look like this. We are not liking as it's showing like the 7 can mean anything. 7 can say, oh, he has 7 children. Oh, he has 7 wives and 7 concubines. Oh, he has spent 7 years in one department or one, but we want them to know that, okay, yes, he has spent 7 years and this particular number of months. So what's the formula that I say we are going to add to it? The AND formula. Okay. We're going to use the AND formula. Now remember, because we wanted to show 7 years, we open parentheses after the AND formula. Remember, after the AND formula, we'll show 7 and we'll write years. As you can see, there's a comma after the year. So we'll add the comma, then close the quotation. That's to tell Microsoft Excel that, okay, I want you to write years after 7 with a comma. So if I press enter, it shows 7 years with a comma. So, but we have not gotten the number of months. What we will do now is we will insert a comma, telling Microsoft Excel that, okay, we are done with this segment, or let's try writing another and is telling Microsoft Excel that, okay, I've done that one. I want you to add this one to this particular statement. Now we'll write date difference again, open parentheses. We select start date. Remember, that's what we are working with. End date, which is this. For months, we are going to use YM. You can either use M or you can use YM, but to get months minus years, you use YM. If you use ordinary M, it's going to show you the amount of months you have spent from 15th of November 2016 to 4th of May 2024, which is not what we want. So we are going to use the YM, which is going to tell us, okay, we want the number of months minus years, number of months you have spent in this year. The number of months that you have spent, including the years. So that's why we have this displaying. So we've written that. We will now add the and. Remember, we are going to add the months. We wanted to show us 7 years, 5 months, right? So we've seen and. Now we are going to say, okay, let's tell us in months. And I press enter. As you can see, it has shown me 7 years, 5 months. But because there is no space in between, and I want to add the space, I can now say, comma, add space, and press OK. Okay, this one is telling me that there's something that I should remove. Okay, let's go back again. Sorry, give me a minute. Hold on, please. This is telling me that we've made an error somewhere. Okay. All right, so I'm going to undo so that we can get the suggestions. Sorry. So it's repeating the same thing that we wrote up in here. You can see the same thing here now. But the reason why you are seeing this $sign is that we are using a statement called absolute conditioning. So because we want to do a drop down, we don't want it to only reference. Okay, let me show you an example. If I didn't include the absolute conditioning, you see with the error message I'm going to keep getting. As you can see, it is referencing here. You know that when you drag down, Microsoft Excel would there's a continuous automatic continuation when you are dragging down. So it is going to be picking from here to here to here to here, and so on and so forth. So if I press enter and I drag down, you're going to see a lot of value errors, right? Because instead of it to be referencing today's date, it is referencing the cell G2. Instead of it to be referencing cell G1, it is referencing cell G2. So that's why we included, I'm deleting this now. That's why we included the absolute conditioning with the $sign. Now you're going to put the $sign in between the column name and the row number. The column alphabet, which is G. Remember, we are working under G, and then the row, the column number is G1. The row number we are working with is 1. So we are going to insert the $sign in between, and then come here as well, insert the $sign. So we've absolutely conditioned it to reference today's date. So if I come here now and drag down, you can see that it has displayed the amount of years that my staff has worked and the amount of months that my staff has worked. I hope that's clear. Hello? Can I move on?
Yes, it is. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So moving on, we already understand. If you don't understand any, please just call my attention back to it so that we can go over it again. Right? Okay, so the year fraction formula does the same thing. It does absolutely the same thing, but it's easier. But here you're not going to see years, months, or whatever. But because the reason why I displayed this one is just for us to know how this particular formula works. For any further analysis, this is what we are going to be using. All right, because this is what works in terms of numbers. Using this one as if for any extra formula will not work because of the texts in it. But this one is going to work because we are using numbers. Now, how this work is showing us the year fraction. Select start date, end date. That's all. It's more simple, more straight to the point than this one. But for us to, for your viewers to understand that, oh, this is what this means, then you can include this one. The reason why we have this now, let's use this particular formula. Remember, equal to year fraction, which is this formula right here. If your Excel is not displaying this, you can just write it manually. Year fraction, say start date is F4, end date is today's date, right? So remember, we want it to absolutely condition, absolutely condition today's date. We would include the $sign. So now we can end this and insert. So you can see she has spent 7 years and 5 months. So if you want to see in years alone, if you want to remove the decimals, that's when you use the integer. So integer is just equal to integer and select the data you want to clear the decimals. So if I say integer for this particular data, for this particular cell, it comes back as 7. It has removed the 0.5. But for here, we want to know the number of years and the number of months. So we see 7 years, 5 months, 7 years again, 5 months. So we will repeat the same. Drop down, you can see the number of years that people have worked. We've seen those that have worked under 1 month, 1 month, 1 month, 1 month. Since we've done the integer here, we can create the drop down. You can see none of them have used up to 2 years. Some of these ones have not used up to 1 year. This ones have not used up to 1 year, but this one is 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4, 5, 7, and so on and so forth. Now, we are now going to be using the if. One of the it's there. It's in between. It's between basic and intermediate and advanced. If you know how to use it. Now let's do an example, just as we did with date difference. Let's do an example for the if formula here. So let's say, let me choose a data from here. Okay. So as we've previously known, Isabella is 26 years old with the date difference formula that was used before. This is showing me in date. I wanted to show me in general. So Isabella is 26 years old. So we want to tell Microsoft Excel, if Isabella is 26 years old, tell us that you can say, okay, she's old enough. Or no, let's not use she's old enough. Let's say as Isabella is 26 years old, let's put her in senior level role. For example, if the recruitment company I'm working with is saying, okay, for you to be in certain level, you need to have attained this certain age. So if Isabella is 26 years old, she needs to be a senior staff. Okay, let's do this way. Senior staff, so that you can understand what I'm saying. Senior staff, management, and then there's junior. So for our junior staff, we can say between, let's say between 19 to 25. Huh? Between 19 to 25. For senior staff, we say 25 to 37. I'm just saying, that's not how it works, but I'm just saying. Then for, this is going to be 26 to 37. Then for management, anybody that is between the age of 38 above, right? So because Isabella is 26 years old, we want this particular cell to tell us which grade she's going to be in. Remember, our grade breakdown is junior staff 19 to 25 years, senior staff 26 to 35 years, and management staff 38 years and above. So what the if formula is going to do is, we tap the if formula, press the tab button, it opens the logical statement. It's like you're asking Microsoft Excel a logical question. So if this one is this one, give me this. If this is this, if they are selling, let me give you a pure example. When we were younger, they will send you to the market, go and buy something. Let's say, for example, they say, okay, buy Lux soap. Now, if Lux soap is 20 naira, buy 2. If Lux soap is 30 naira, buy 1. If they don't have Lux soap at all, but they have Eva and which other soap and Dettol, don't buy Dettol, buy Eva. But if they have Eva and Eva is 14 naira, buy 1. So that's literally how the if logical test question works. So we are saying the logical test is if this is equal to 26. So since we are working between 26 to 37, we are going to see if this is equal to 26 or equal to or greater than 25. We've asked it the question, right? We'll say value if true, return value is, what's the grade again? Senior level, right? So we are saying if this cell here is greater or equal to or greater than, if it is greater than 25, sorry. So if it is greater than 25, return value as senior level. But if false, let's leave it blank. Remember, formula for blank is the open quotation space close quotation. We don't want to see anything if it's below that. So as you can see now, it's returning as senior level. But if I say, okay, let me leave our age as 19, it's coming back as blank. It's not returning any value because we have told it that if it's not, above 25, leave it as blank. But as long as it is above 25, show us that she's a senior staff. Even if I write 25, it's still going to be blank. Do you understand? Because it's not above 25. So Isabella is 26, so it's showing a senior level group. So we'll come back here and repeat the same style of formula here. Now let me explain how this works. Now you can see that the formula that we are using here is saying if the year fraction, the H3 is this particular data here, this particular cell, the year fraction 7.5, if this is lesser than or equal to 3, return 0 to 3 years. If it is false, we create another statement. Now, the reason why we have that difference is that this is what is going to show you if it is lesser than 3 years. If it is greater than few years, greater than 3 years, we have opened a new if formula. This is what is called nesting in Microsoft Excel, using one formula in another formula. So for the if formula is quite extensive. If it is becoming too complicating for you, you can use the drop down and just fill automatically because I've inputted the formula there for you guys. But for the purpose of learning, we have the if false is saying that, okay, we are creating another if formula. If it is not 0, if it's not lesser than or equal to 3, we want to say if H3 is lesser than or equal to 5. Remember, we have already said if it is lesser than or equal to 3, tell us that it is 0 to 3 years. If it is lesser than or equal to 5, tell us that it's between 3 to 5 years. That's for the value if true for the nesting formula. You remember that nesting is creating a formula inside another formula. So we have created the first formula, which is this if formula. The nested formula is this if. Now we are nesting another if in this particular formula. So we are saying if this H3, the same year fraction, is lesser than or equal to 5, then show us that the year range is between 3 to 5 years. That's value if true. Now, value if false is another nesting. We are saying if this particular real fraction again, which is 7.5, is lesser than or equal to 6. If it is lesser than or equal to 6, show us that it is between 5 to 6 years. I don't know if you are getting what I'm saying. So if it is lesser than or equal to 3, tell us that it is between 0 to 3 years. If it is lesser than or equal to 5, tell us that it is between 3 to 5 years. If it is lesser than or equal to, remember, you can open your mic if you want to ask questions. I'm not privy to my chats, so I can't see whatever chats you might have dropped. If you need to ask any questions, please ask. Open your mic and ask, because I'm not checking the chat. I'm just facing this so that we can finish on time. So now we are telling Microsoft Excel again, if H3 is lesser than or equal to 6, tell us that it's between 5 to 6 years. And if not, value if false above 6 years. Now you can see that we have closed. Remember that we have opened a parenthesis here. We've opened another parenthesis here. So we need to close all of the parentheses that is opened. Close the last parenthesis, close the second one. You will see that as you are pressing the shift and on my own keypad, it's shift and 0. That's how to close parentheses. As you're clicking the shift and 0, which is the close parentheses, it shows in different color until you come to the black color, which is the beginning, which is the nested formulas parenthesis that was opened. So once you get to the last parenthesis, then you can now press enter. Then you will now see that it's being displayed. As this is being displayed. Now once you've understood this and you've gotten the grasp of this, you can now repeat the same underneath. So for those of us who have tried it and it has worked, you can now drop down so that we can see the tenure in range of our staff. Now you can see that for those that have spent 7 years, it's showing above 7 years. For those that have spent 6.9 years, is showing above 6 years because it's 6 years and 9 months. So this one is also showing above 6 years because it's already 6 years already and counting. So if it is 5.9, it will show you between 5 to 9 years. 5 to 6 years. If this is showing you 1 year, 7 months, you see it's between 0 to 3 years because it's not 3 years yet. So that's the kind of formula that you use to get the tenure in the range, because you are going to describe to the board that these are the numbers of people that have spent this number of years in the system. This is the number of people that have spent this number of years in the system. This is the number of people that have spent 3 years and lesser in the system. So we are done with that. Now, if we are going to know the year from the date of hire, the reason why we want to get this formula is because they are requesting for the recruitment trend, the hiring trend. So we want to know how many staff was recruited in 2016, how many staff was recruited in 2017, how many was recruited in 2018, 2019, up to date. Do you understand? Now, remember, we are not putting into consideration the attrition staff, the staff that have left. We are only focusing on our current staff that we have. Now, the formula for that is just equal to year and select F3. Now, let's try that. Equal to just press year and then select the date of hire, which is this. And then press enter. As you can see, it's still 2016. So from here, you just do a drop down, do a drop down again. So it's already showing you the year of hire 2024, 2024, 2023, 2022, 2019, 2017, 2016. As you can see, just by looking at the load, you can tell that it's eight number of staff that was recruited in 2016. 18 number of staff that was recruited in 2017. But because we are going to be displaying that in the chat, we don't need to really look at that per se. So, because of the cost of this training, we are going to be generating a random, I will not say random, but for most organizations, confirmation status is by after you've completed 6 months. Yeah. After you've completed 6 months, let's clear this so that we can start again. No, you guys can leave it in your side, but I want to clear it because I want to have a clean sheet. Confirmation status is from 6 months. And because this particular, formula is calculating by year and decimals, it is picking the months by point, the decimal point. So that's the same thing you're going to use here. You're not just going to come here and write if this is greater than 6. Because if you're saying if this is greater than 6, then you're saying if it's greater than 6 years, yeah, of course, it's going to tell you it's greater than 6, then you say confirm. But that's not the, that's not the basis of confirmation. If your confirmation is, basis of your confirmation is 3 months, you can try this. Now, remember, this is not, we are not working with any company's data. We are just generating random HR data here. So that's why we are using this particular formula. If you have a data for this one, there's no formula that will tell you a person is confirmed, though. You have to go and check the confirmation status and impute it manually. But because of the cost of this, because of this particular training, we are going to be using this data, this formula. So we are saying if logical test, this is equal to or greater than 0.6, 0.6, which is 6 months. Value if true is, let's say, confirmed. Remember, every of our text, every text that is imputed in Microsoft Excel formula has to be in has to have the quotations quotation beginning the text and quotation ending the text. So if it is equal to or above 0.6, which is 6 months, say confirmed. If it is lesser than, then tell us, or if false, let me use that term. If false, if true, give us confirmed. If false, they will say not. Tell us not confirmed. So we close that. Okay, we didn't include a close parenthesis. So there is what makes Excel kind of fantastic is that if you don't include a particular, if it's not more than one mistake, it can help you correct it. So it's not telling me that do I want to accept this correction? Yes. So now this one is telling me now that it is a confirmed staff. Now I'm dragging it down. You see that those that are lesser than 6 months, automatically it tells me they are not confirmed. Do you understand? So this one is another data that you can now be including somewhere else on your Excel sheet or your, HR data sheet. So we have confirmation status. We have the grade. There's nothing to be done here because it's already done. It has already been written, so you don't need to do anything on that. Now, staff breakdown, just like done with the if formula. This one is the if or. Now this is kind of extensive. How we are going to be tackling this? What the if or does is a nesting formula. We are nesting the OR formula in the if formula. So we're writing the if. We are saying if or M3 is equal to officer, if M3 is equal to, or a M3 is equal to executive assistant, return as junior staff. If value is true, return as junior staff. If value is false, you will say that's why you now nest another if formula in the first if formula. Let's do it one after the other, right? Now let's say equal to, if I might not be able to write everything, I mean all the formula, I'll just explain it to us so that we can have an insight into it. So we say if this is equal to, remember, we need to know the number of staff, I mean the number of breakdowns that you have. So if your grade breakdown is just junior executive, I mean officer, senior executive, senior officer, whichever grade you use, that's what you're going to work with before you actually start using this formula. But because we are working with a company that uses, hold on, please. We want to know the amount of the unique numbers here. As you can see, we have just a whole sum of data. I've copied this. I want to create a clean sheet. Let's come to the board request and use this, there's the unique formula that helps you to pick unique information or unique data from a column of data. Now, some Microsoft Excel might not have it because it's only for the latest Microsoft Excel from 2013 upwards. In fact, some 2013s might not even have it if it is not updated enough. So for those of you who don't have, you might use the data validation. It helps for you to be able to know, or you can create a table, then filter. We are going to look at that as well. So for this, we can look at the unique formula, open parentheses. Remember, this is the unique, open parentheses, come to the HR data. We want to know the number of unique formulas here so that we will know how we are going to write our formula, right? So we are selecting this range. We are selecting the range and press enter. As you can see, these are the only 6 unique statements we have, or unique data. We have the senior executive officer, we have the manager, we have the executive assistant, we have executive officer, we have office manager, we have officer. Those are the 6 grades that we have listed in the HR data. If you don't understand how far I have come, please just open your mic and speak up. All right, please just open your mic and speak up. Okay, so I think everybody is up to par. So what we are going to do now is we already have this stated here. These are the numbers of things we have. Rather than typing it, if this equals to this, then typing manually or typing it in words, you can have a sheet where you input this. You can have a sheet where you input this, just put it anywhere. Let's say we are putting it here, for example. Now we are coming here, we are saying if equal to, if this particular, okay, sorry, I think I didn't open the parentheses. You see what happens when you don't open parentheses. If this is equal to, so we are going to start from the least grade, which is the officer grade. No, this is not where we put it. The officer is the least. So we are saying if this is equal to officer, right? Return value as, okay, because we are using the if or formula. Just remember we are using the if or formula. So we are using or now. Now if or M4, which is the sheet page we are working on, this data cell, this cell we are working on, if it is equal to, hold on please, if it is equal to board request A18, I'm clearing this so that we can see as it is from the beginning. So if N2, N4, okay, is equal to this, which is officer. We can now say return value. We are not returning value yet. What we are going to say again, because we are using the OR formula, is going to select between two suggestions. We are saying if this is equal to officer, if it is officer equal to senior staff, if it is officer to this range equal to this staff, if it is manager upwards equals to management staff. So the reason why we are going to be doing this is because we have to have a staff breakdown. So from officer to, let's use office executive assistant or senior executive officer, we want them to be senior staff. Officer downward, we want them to be junior staff. So that's why we're actually creating this formula. From manager upwards, we want them to be management staff. So we say, I'm trying this again for those of us that might not have seen how the first one works. So if this is equal to officer or N4, because we have the data at N4, N4 is equal to, let's use executive assistant. That's logical test 2. As you can see, this is the first logical test, which is if N4 is equal to officer, then logical question 2 is if it is equal to executive assistant. So we will now close this one because we are working with the OR formula. We will close it. Now it's now telling us, okay, what value do you want it to be as the, what's it called? What value do you want it to be if it is true? This is our logical test. We have asked Excel 2 logical questions now. If N4 is equal to officer, or if N4 is equal to executive assistant, which is E15. I'm taking this back. Now, value if true is we want you to return it as junior staff. Value if false, we are going to use another if or. If or let's change this to M4. M4, okay. So if or M4 is equal to, because I'm changing between what's it called, between sheets, it will rename the sheet for me. It's giving me this name so I can know which sheet I'm referencing. The reason why I'm doing this is for those of us that might not be too familiar with this particular formula. So going between sheets might cause the Excel to display the name of the sheet in the formula. So don't be confused when you see board requests, column board request in quotation, then exclamation mark F18. That's the data you selected in the board request sheet. Do you understand? So we are asking if M4 is equal to board request A18 and or M4 is equal to board request A15, which is the officer and executive assistant are selected. Tell us that this person is a junior staff. If false, or if the value is not true, then you now nest another if formula and nest the OR formula into it. You know how the if formula works. So if it is this one is too extreme for you, you can just do the drop down. Now we are now going to say or, because we've selected officer and executive assistant. What we have next is executive officer and executive assistant to senior executive assistant and assistant manager. So we are going to make those three senior, what's it called? We are going to make them senior staff. So we are saying if or HR data M4, which is the name of the sheet we are working on, and the name of the data cell we are working on is equal to, we'll come back to the board request, because we are saying we want it to be between executive officer. Come back. We've asked the first logical question. This is the first logical question. We'll come here again. If this particular cell clear this, sorry. Now, if this particular cell is equal to, we've selected executive officer, now we're going to select executive assistant, as seen here. If it is equal to executive assistant, or remember the or is allowing you to choose, to select multiple logical questions. Do you understand? We've selected the first logical question, we've selected the second logical question. Now we want to select the third logical question, which is going to be if this M4, HR data sheet M4, if it is equal to assistant manager, which is this, then we will now close the brackets because we are done with this, with the statements. Now we'll come back here. Sorry about that. We'll come back here. That's our logical test, right? Now, value if true, tell us that these people are senior officers. All right, let's. Okay. Now you can see that it's returning as false
because I cannot see your screen again. I don't know, maybe.
Hello.
I can see your screen. It's
Maybe
probably
it's
your
my own
network.
I cannot see your screen again.
Okay, I think it's your network. All you need to just do is go, maybe you try to connect to a better network or something. Because others, if you cannot see my screen, please just exit and try logging in again.
Okay.
It says guests are waiting in the lobby. All right, give me a minute. Let me allow those that are waiting in the lobby. Okay. So if you've disconnected previously, you can connect back so that we can, continue the session. And now we're back here. So because we've told it, tell us, we've created the space for junior officer, we've created for senior officer. Okay, let's even just close the formula here, right? Let's see what it's going to show us. If false, we say just leave blank. All right. Okay, as you can see now, it is displaying blank because of the what's it called? Because of the information that is here. If we had written it complete, because we didn't add assistant manager, we had not added manager to it, it will always show blank because we don't have that there. But if it is showing lesser than the role of a senior executive officer or the role of a manager, it is going to fill up as the staff breakdown. Either senior staff, sorry, hold on, some people are in the waiting room. Okay, Ayobam is back. So it's going to load down to either senior staff or junior staff. Okay, so that we don't have to, beat around the same formula because it's actually quite long and extensive. So we are going to drag down this particular formula written up here. Let me explain this to you. Now, as I've explained before, we are selecting this and asking Microsoft Excel multiples of logical questions. At the beginning, we are saying if M4 is equal to officer, or if M4 is equal to executive assistant, leave it as junior staff. Now, if or M3 is equal to executive officer, or M3 is equal to senior executive officer, or M3 is equal to assistant manager, leave it as senior staff. Now, the last part is saying if M3 is equal to manager or equal to managing director, leave as management staff. You see, all of these formulas are actually quite long. So that's why I might not be able to go over them one after the other. So since we've written that in the first cell, we can now do a drop down. We can now do a drop down that will now segment or do a differential statement for each of this cell. As you can see, as a senior executive officer, you are a senior staff, senior executive officer, senior staff, managers, management staff, manager, management staff, executive assistants are labeled as junior staff, management staff, and so on and so forth. Now that's how that particular one works. Now we're moving on to the next space. You already have department here, so we are not touching department, we are not touching location. there's nothing to do there because it has already been pre-designed. Do you understand? So we're not working on that. So for age, we have already touched the date difference. We already know how the date difference works. So you can either use the date difference or you can use the year fraction, whichever one works for you. So we've explained date difference. I would not like to go over the formula again. So we would drag down. Now you can see the age of each of your staff. So because we want to know the range of each of the staff, to know if they are between the age of 50 to 60, between under 20 years, on between 20 to 30, between 40 to 40 years, between 50 to 50 years. We are going to do that. We are going to do that in this age range. Sorry, excuse me. We are going to do that in this age range. Now, the formula has already been inputted for those of you who have the sheet. If you don't have the sheet, please tell me so that I can resend it. All you just need to do is just fill in the drop down and we are good to go. Now,
I don't
for
have the
the
sheet
age,
though.
who is that?
Ayobami. I do not have the sheet,
Ayobami.
please.
You're just joining.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Did you left before?
Yes, I left before.
Okay. All right. Let me just reshare. Okay. Hold on. So I have already done this here. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay. Sorry, give me a minute. I'm trying to send the file so that we can have it. Okay, so I've already resent it. I've resent the data set. You guys don't have it and you didn't inform me at the beginning so that I can send it. So how are you guys now practicing what I'm... So do you have it now? Can you see it?
Yes, I have it
Okay,
now.
so
Thank
now
you very
you
much.
can open it now. Continue. So how far I have come, did you guys understand? Hello?
I understand up to this particular place. But I actually left. That's the issue.
Okay, what about the rest of us? Paul, Samuel, Isabella, Ofukesh, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Oluwafemi, Olayode. And Steve.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We still have to look at the video and practice more. So for now,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. All right, that's fine. I think to that extent, yeah, I think to that extent, maybe you just need to go through the formula over again, watch the video. You can go online. The online versions would explain better on how to actually, use this formula. Anywhere you find it confusing, if you're trying to use it, you can reach out to me. My LinkedIn, what's it called? My LinkedIn name is also my name, Tomori Maiwa David. You can reach out to me if you're having issues or you're trying to generate an HR data and there's a glitch somewhere. What did you say?
After the class, you would share the link to this video so that we can watch it.
Yes, definitely.
On this Telegram group, right? On this Teams group.
No, I'll be creating. I'm going to be creating a different WhatsApp group for this purpose, because we might be having a different session after this. We'll definitely be having different sessions after this. So I'll be creating a WhatsApp group. So on that particular group, it will be shared to your emails, and it will also be shared on the WhatsApp group for those of us who are looking to join in the next class.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. So are we clear? Can I go on now? Can I go on, class?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
You can go on.
Okay, thank you very much, Olufafemi. Okay, so let me explain how this particular formula works. It says if R3, the R3 that we are working with here is the age, right? R3 that we're working here is the age. Now, if the age is lesser than 20, tell us that it's under 20 years. If, remember what I said, we are nesting the if formula in this if formula. Now, if the value is true, this is a logical test. If this is lesser than 20, value if true, display under 20 years. Value if false, create another if formula for me. And now ask the if formula another question, which says if this is lesser than 30, if the age of the staff is lesser than 20, show me between 20 to 30 years. You can come here, do whatever you want to do. You can change it per text. I've left it here like this because I want it to be easier and I don't want it to take too much space. Now, if the age is lesser than 20, show me under 20 years. Nested if the same age is lesser than 30, show me 20 to 30 years. Value if true, show me 20 to 30 years. Value if false, start a new if formula and ask the if formula a logical question. If this the same age that the same cell we are going to be selecting while we are doing this. As you can see, it's R3, 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 R3. Column R, row 3. That's the cell we are working on for to be displayed on column S, row 3. Now, we are asking it again. If R3 is lesser than 40, tell us that this person is between the ages of 30 years to 40 years. Value if true, that's the value if true. Value if false, we'll create a new formula. So that's how if works. You can nest about 15 different ifs formula in one original if formula. So we are saying the last logical question is if the age is lesser than 60, tell us it's between 60 to, between 50 to 60 years. And if it is above 60, leave it as new. The reason why I left new there is because we don't in our company, we're not going to be accepting anybody that is above 60. If you're above 60, you're not supposed to be at the place of work. So that's why the nil is there. So if anyone is showing nil at your end, then that means you might have, you can go ahead, change anything to nil after you do the drop down. Change any of the age to 60, change it to whatever number you please, and you will see the formula change. You will see the response here change. So if I come here and say, okay, this person is 35 years old, it's going to tell me that this person is between the age of 30 to 40. If I say this person is 64, you see it's going to come here and tell me that this person is male. I want to make sure that no formula is being expressed. Okay. So it's telling me that it is new because, there's no, we didn't allow any statement for anybody that is above 64 years old. We just left it that display new if anybody is above 54. Okay, people are in the waiting room. Sorry, let me allow people in. Mr. Okufesh, are you a Mr. or a Mrs.? Sorry, your network has been really fluctuating today. Okay, so we have that. So now let me change it back to, what was it before? I think 59. So between 50 to 60 years. So we can tap the drop down now. So it shows us the age range. Now you can see that we are still bringing out data from just the normal data that was given to us initially. Now you can have from just from here to here. You can have just from here to this place, and the rest of the data is gotten automatically with the formulas and more formulas that are not going to be stated here. So we have gotten the age range, The male gender, we have also seen that as well. This one is already put there so that we don't have to, create or have to have different, because if I tell you the formula that we use to generate random data, we are going to have different responses. We are going to have different answers. Now we have marital status, we have recruiters, and then we have the monthly gross. It's already in there. So now let's create the table for this particular data set that we are going to be working on. So we are going to be moving on to the pivot table now, where we'll be creating data charts. Now, please, I want to inform us about creating of data charts. There are different types of data chart options that we can use. There's the bar chart, there's the column chart, there's the pie chart, and there are different type of data illustration you are going to be displaying. Now, if you are going to be showing comparison between two data, that's why you're going to be using the column chart. If you're going to be using showing what's it called, proportion between two data, you're going to be using the pie chart, like for gender and so on. If you're going to be showing trends, then you can now use the line chart. That's what the line chart is used for. So for this particular training, for this particular data, we'll be using line charts for the trend of recruitment. We are going to be using column charts for comparison of department standpoints. We are going to be using bar charts as well. Let's make this a table first. So how do we make this a table? The short form for making this a table is Control-T. Once you've pressed Control-T, this particular create table icon or notification will come up. I don't know if you guys can see it. Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. So we'll go on. Sorry, I had to drink water. I was already thirsty. So, so we can, as you can see this, you just click on OK. My header is my table already has a header because we already have a header there. So we can now click OK. Please don't select this aspect though, because if you select it with this one, it's going to automatically select this and give you a new header. If you select this today, it's going to add it to the table sets and give it a new header. So we'll go ahead and press OK. Now we have already created a table. Now the best thing to do after creating a table is rename the table. Now for this table, we are going to call it employee data, right? That's what we're going to call it. There's no room for space. You will not rename it if you give it a space. So we're just going to have to put the what's it called? The underscore. So there's employee underscore data. So we are going to rename this particular data. As you can see, the rename button is here by the left. Immediately you create the table, you have the rename data here, and all you just need to do is press enter. Now this table has been renamed. If you tap anywhere on this particular table, you can see the name. If you tap outside the table, it takes you to another sheet entirely. So we are tapping in between the table. And now you can see that the name of the table is there already. Per your view, if you're not comfortable with this color, you can change any color. You can change the table styles as you please. Do you understand? As you please, whichever one is visually pleasing to you. If you are really very peculiar about the colors, you can change the colors. If you want it to be pink, you can change it to pink. If you want it to be blue, you can change it to blue. Whatever suits well with you. So we have created a table now, right? There is a sheet for the dashboard. So what we are going to be doing is we are going to be creating a chart. Remember, the request of the board is that they want to know the number of staff. Okay, let's use number of staff per department, the salary increment, business case. Okay, that one would treat it with the table, or we'll create a new sheet for that entirely. Number of location, staff per location, grades, recruitment trends, and the best recruiter. So we are going to take it one after the other. So imagine as an HR analyst, they call you and say, okay, there's a board retreat that is happening 2 weeks from now. And all of this information, we want it to be done in a PowerPoint presentation. I think in the next class, we are going to be talking about HR reporting or HR data reporting. That's when we will now be using showing what you need to report in a PowerPoint presentation, what you need to include, and how to, actually report a particular data to the board. Because it's different if you are reporting the data to your line manager. They can take excuses, they can take mistakes, they can take errors. Some line managers don't even take errors, but you are reporting to the board of directors. Do you understand? So you need to make sure that your data that you are reporting, or your the HR reports generally, is free of errors. So can we all see the Excel sheet?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the first thing we are going to be doing is we want to know the number of staffs. As you can see in the HR data, we've not even done anything that has to do with total number of staffs. We don't even know what the total number of staffs is unless we come here and see that it's 100. All right. But how do we count? How do we know without having to come back here and be counting how many people are here, how many staffs do we have here, and so on and so forth? So there's a formula that can help you count numbers of data in numeric forms. You can also use the one that works in alphabetic forms. Yes. So the count, this particular formula here, this count formula helps you to count numeric values. Count A, oh, I didn't include it. Okay. Count A helps you to count alphabets. So what I prefer to use is count, so that I'll work with employee ID. So now let's come to this board request. We are not going to be including this to the dashboard. I would have loved it if I could use the Power BI interface for you guys, but then it's not, you guys might not be able to understand this. So maybe in the forthcoming trainings, we might be, integrating our Excel forms, our Excel sheets, and transforming it using the Power Query in Microsoft, what's it called? In Power BI. And then we'll now create a chart in Power BI. It becomes very, very easy. It's easier than all these steps. But the sake of today, we are going to be using Microsoft Excel. Now we want to know number of staffs, right? Numbers of staffs. We are not doing, please don't get me wrong, we are not doing HR reporting. This is not the report you are sending to the board. In the next session, which we would be availing you guys of the date, is when we will be showing you how to, report data that has been analyzed and worked on your Excel sheet to PowerPoint. People are trying to join the, hold on, please. I'm just, okay. All right, so let's fall back. Sorry for the switch between slides. I just need to make sure that everybody is on board. So we are going to use the count values. For those of us who are intermediates, we already know this formula. For those of you that are novice and beginners, this formula will help you. And I'm sure if you have come across it, all well and good. But if you haven't, all you just need to do is use equal to and count. Count value will come to this HR data. And now the advantage of turning a data sheet to a table is because of this. Here you can see now that I can select everything under, you will see this black arrow that is showing you a drop down to the data set below this. So if I select this, can everybody see what I'm displaying?
Yes, I can.
Okay, all right. I need to make sure that we are all seeing this. Okay, so this arrow that is showing you a drop down helps you to select all the values that are listed in the table. Now, if I come here and I do the same thing here, it's selecting all of the first names. If I come here and do the same, it's selecting ID. As you can see, two reasons why we renamed the data. You can see here, this particular formula is carrying the data name and this is carrying the name of the table header. You can practically type this in the formula here, and you still get, sorry, where are we? The formula here, and you will still get the same thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can type the same thing and you will still get this. Okay, the reason why this is coming at, but the value is coming at 0 is because the employee ID has text in it. So let's not use the count. If it was just 1001, it would count it and give us the number of values. So we are not going to use the count. We are going to use the count A because it has values, text values. So as you can see, now we have the total number at 100. So if I mistakenly come here, even on purpose, if I come here, delete one person, let's say Thomas, this Thomas Anderson has left the company, we delete him. Okay, let's say I delete him, for example, and I come back here, you see it's back to 99. So this is going to be counting it for you in real time. You don't have to go back, count number of data. Mr. Ofukesh, your network is really terrible. I've let you into this meeting like 1 million times. So we have this, it's going to be counting it in real time. So let's return Mr. Thomas Anderson and then come back here. So that's how the counter works. Count works the same way, counter works the same way. Now we have gotten the total number of staffs. Now we want to say, what is the number of staff per location? Now this is where we will now start including the data into a chart, right? So now we've come here, let's come back to this particular data. I hope we've all turned this data into a table because your pivot table will not be able to reference this particular table if it is not a table. So now you can see here on the ribbon, you can see the table design. Click on the table design. If you have not renamed your table, come here and rename your table. All right. So for the fact that we want to insert pivot table, come to the insert. So you can see the what's it called, the new ribbon here. You can see the pivot table, you can see recommended pivot table, you can see illustrations. Now this is one of the updated versions. That's why you're seeing illustrations here. You can see these same illustrations in PowerPoint. This same one is displayed like this in PowerPoint. Now you have the recommended charts, you have different types of charts, you have maps if you are working with the geospatial data, you have pivot charts, you have 3D maps, you have lines treating trends, you have win-loss, and so on and so forth. So for the beginning of this, we would like to insert, let's use recommended charts, right? Let's do recommended charts. So recommended charts to recommend charts that you can use. You see there are numbers of charts. So, but because we are showing a comparison between two particular data, we are going to be using the clustered column charts. Let's click, or let's use all charts. All right, we're going to use the clustered column, this, and then we're pressing OK. Now, as you can see, this has brought us here. It's not even, okay, hold on, please. Did we just create the charts without creating the pivot table? Okay, hold on. I think we just created the chart without creating the pivot table. So we'll come back, insert pivot table. Yeah, we just created the chart without creating pivot table. So that's why it took us there. So as you can see, the table range is the name of the data. If it shows you anything outside the name of the data, know that your data source your data source is wrong. You have to rename the table so that it can display as the table/range. So this is the table we are working with. Now, are we creating a new sheet? No, we have already created a dashboard sheet here. So you are going to be selecting existing worksheet. Now remember, always click add this data to data model because we are going to be using, we are going to be inserting slicer. The slicer is going to help us to view different data per selection. So if you are saying in our slicer data, we want to just have it to be admin, We want to see the total number of staff in the admin department. We want to know the age range in the admin department. We want to know the grade difference in the admin department. So that's why we need to use this particular add data to data model, so that you can reference each of the pivot chart or each of the pivot table to the slicer that has been created. So now you come back here, select the location, and then we come to dashboard. Let's use, you can select anywhere for the location that we want the pivot to be placed on. And then you press OK. All right. So pressing OK. Okay, hold on, please. The system wants to start showing me Pepe. So it's loading up. This is happening because of the size of data. So now it has loaded up. Now you're going to have this view, which is showing you pivot table 16. And then you have this data under employer data. Now this area below is very essential because it is going to be a high determinant of how our data is going to be displayed. Now, remember, we are coming here saying that we want to see the board request is number of staff per department. So we want to know how many staff we have in each of the departments. How do we do that? We are going to come here. We are going to choose the count of departments. As you can see, this department, just keep scrolling down while you're here. If you're using your mouse, scroll down. If you are using your trackpad, use your 2 fingers, scroll up, and it moves the data down. Or you can just tap this lever here. It brings you down. So we are looking for departments. That's what we are working with, right? So we are working with departments. Select department. Automatically, it puts it on that row. Now we have the row labels, and we have the lists of departments: business development, control unit, finance, human resources, ICT, investment and treasury, legal, and operations. Now, how do we know the number of staffs that are in business development? How do we know the number of staffs that are in the control unit? How do we know the number of staffs that are in finance, and so on and so forth? So that same department that has been selected here, you drag it down to values. So when you put it in values, it shows you the count. Now you can either display this as count or you can display this as percentages. But because we want to know the count of staff in each department, we are going to leave this here. Okay, give me a minute, sorry. All right. So we are going to leave this here as count of departments. So as you can see, we have 25 staffs in the business development, 12 in control units, finance 8, human resource 13, ICT 10, investment 10, legal 12, operations 10, making up to 100. So if your total is not showing 100 as displayed here, then there's a problem. So we have gotten number of staff per department. Now we want to know how many locations do we have and how many staff do we have in each location. Okay, so we are going to repeat the same. What we are going to do, rather than having us go here, select data, create what's it called, pivot table, go through the same unnecessary process, we can just come here, copy this pivot, what's it called, the pivot table here, the pivot table analysis here, copy and then paste below. So all of the functions, all of the what's it called, materials that is here, function materials that this particular pivot table has, this one too has it automatically. So this one also has been added to data table model. This one also has every information that this one has. So what we are going to be doing now is we are checking, we have already seen the count of departments. We want to see count of location. How many locations do we have, right? How many locations do we have? We'll say, let's return this because this is still displaying the department. So we'll drag this back. We automatically have that down. So before you take this away, before you put this back, you can drag location in. So as you can see, we have 6 staff. This one is still showing us departments. So the reason why this is showing department is because we still have this department here. So what it is saying is that for each department, we have 6 departments in 6 staff in different departments in what's it called? In Abuja, Akure, Asaba, head office, Ikeja. This also still states that there are 6 staffs in Akure. I mean, in Abuja, 7 staffs in Akure, 11 staffs in Asaba, 24 staffs in head office, 15 staffs in Ikeja, MM2, Ogun State, Okwebi, and Port Harcourt. So this, without even using the unique formula for, if you remember at the beginning, I was saying the unique formula shows us unique values in a set of wholesome data, in a set of a lot of data. So this can also help to let you see the number of values that you have that occur repeatedly. So we are going to take this back. We are not working with departments now, we're working with locations. So we are bringing this here. So as you can see, it's still the same thing, right? Nothing changes, but we just want it to display count of location so that they know that we are working with the count of location. So we're going to copy this again and then paste. Okay, he's using the first one that I copied, which is the count of departments. It still works because we are using the same data model. So here now, the board is asking, we've known the number of locations. We want to know the staff per location. Okay, we have already done that automatically by showing this. Now, what if we now want to say, okay, so in Abuja, for example, we want to know how many admin staff do we have? How many, what's it called? Control unit staff do we have? How many finance staff do we have? How many human resource staff do we have? So all you just need to do is look for the department on the employee data value here. Now you can either drag to rows or drag to column, but because we don't want it to expand, we are going to include it in rows. Okay, sorry, hold on. We did take out location before. We did take out the department before. So we insert location, right? As you can see, it is broken down in locations, Abuja, Akure, Asaba, and they will now still insert department, drag department down. So you can see in Asaba, we have a total of 1 business development staff, 1 control unit, 1 human resource, 1 investment, 1 legal, 1 operation. In Akure, we have 1 business development, 2 control units. So this one will help you to see the breakdown of department staff per department in each of the locations. So depending on whichever value you want to show, whichever chart you want to display, you can go ahead and do as many as you want to. Okay, you can use many value as you want to, as long as you are showing the data as requested by the board. So we also have here the grades. Now let's say, okay, we have the data here. We want to see the grades of our staffs. How many of our staffs are senior executive staffs? How many of our staffs are managers? How many of our staffs are executive assistants? How many of our staffs are officers? And so on and so forth. Let's say we want to do, we are still going to do the salary increment business case, but the totality of the business case will be treated in the next class where we are doing the HR reporting. But we are going to be using the what's it called, the formula here to add a percentage per a logical test, dependent on if we have time. If we have time, we can do that. If we don't, we'll do it in the next class. So let's say we want to look at the grades. How many staffs do we have per each grade? So I still have this copied. That's why you have these dotted lines rolling around this particular pivot data set. So I come here, I paste the same because I don't want, this is already long, it's taken enough of my sheet. So I come here, paste the same. I'll repeat the alt HO, sorry. I would expand. It's not necessary if you expand, but then just for the view purpose, you can do that, expand. So we are working with the grades now. Return this, leave the count in values, the count still remain 100. Return this, we are bringing in, what's it called? Grades now, we are working with grades. Bring the grades down to the rows. Now you can see we have 24 assistant managers. We have 14 executive assistants. We have 21 executive officers, 8 managers, 15 officers, and 18 senior executive officers. So we've done that. We've had the data that we want to show to the board now. Now, recruitment trend. How do we show recruitment trend? We are going to be using the year of hire, which is, we worked with the data here. Where is, we are going to search for, okay, year of hire. So we'll copy this, paste. So we'll return the department, because we don't need the department. What we are in need of is the year of hire. All right. So come down, look for year of hire, drag it down here. So as you can see, we have 8 staff recruited. You can still leave this count of department here because it's still counting the same. But because of the label here, we don't want the label to be showing us count of departments. We want it to be showing us year of hire. So we'll drag the year of hire to values so that it can display as values. So this one now, if you drag this here, you are going to be seeing it showing you as sum. You're going to be seeing it showing you as sum. You can come here, value field settings. We want to count. So we want to summarize values by count rather than sum. If you want it to show as average, you can select average. You want to show it as max, but we're not using all of this. So we want to know it by count. So select OK, and it regularizes it. Still the same. 8 staff was hired in 2016. 18 staff was hired in 2017. This in 2018. This in 2019, and so on and so forth. That's how we get it. Now, the last one that is the request by the board. We didn't even include the gender. Okay, let's include gender bifurcation. So we have gender bifurcation by what's it called? Request by the board. So we want to know, are we really practicing what's this? Okay. So are we really practicing gender equality? Are we really balanced? What are we doing? Are we hiring more male than female? What exactly are we speaking in terms of our recruitment style? And so on and so forth. So it could mean a lot of things. So now we are going to say, for this particular data, we've seen the recruitment trend, we've gotten the grades, we've gotten the staff per location, number of location, we've gotten the number of staffs per department. So what we want to do, okay, some people are in the waiting room. Oof, Mr. Okufesh. Again. So what we want to do now is we want to display gender bifurcation here. So we'll repeat the same copied data. Okay, it's not copied again, as my copy time has expired. So now I've copied this and I've pasted here. All you need to do, return this one, look for the gender, because we have a data set that states gender. Where are you? Okay, so this is gender. Bring the gender down. Now, as you can see, we have 35 females and 65 male. So because we are going to be showing this in what's it called? In proportion, I would like to display this in percentage rather than having it as count. So you can come here, the same value, just as we did that we changed this particular value here from sum to count. We will come here, change it from count to percentage. So the view is going to be show value as. So here you can see the first interface you are met with, it is the summarize values by. We are not summarizing values by count or sum or average or mean or standard deviation or none of this. What we want to do is we want Microsoft Excel to show us the value of the male, the value of the female by percentage of grand total. I hope you are hearing. Are we getting so far?
Yes,
So,
yes.
All right, thank you very much. So you use it as percentage of grand total. Once you select percentage of grand total, you press OK, and then you can now see that it is displaying as, percentage. Let's see if we can reduce the, so we've taken away the, what's it called, the decimals, and we've left it as this. So we have 35% and we have 65%. 35% of female, 65% of male is our gender bifurcation, is our gender proportion for this particular company. Let's just say for extras, let's say we want to know the number, how long our staffs have stayed, how many staffs have stayed the longest, how many staffs have stayed the shortest. We'll repeat the same process, but we are going to use, so what data do you guys think we are going to use if we are going to be working to know the number of staffs that have stayed between 0 to 3 years, between 4 years to 5 years, between 5 years to, and all of this? What data do you think we are going to use? Mr. Samuel. Okay, so does anybody know the data that we are going to use? You can use the chat box. Let me see if I'm unable to join again. I'm only seeing the messages. Uluwakemi Sola, if you can still hear, you can still rejoin. So who knows what data we are going to be working with? I really don't want us to wait too much time. If you know, you can drop it in the chat box so that we can move forward. So we are going to copy this and paste. All right, so we are taking it out just as we've done to the rest of the data. Remember, this is still showing in, this distribution is still showing as, what's it called? As percentage. So we might not really be needing the percentage because we are working with count now. So what we are going to do is tenure in tenure range. So we are going to be dragging the tenure range because the tenure range is displaying the amount of years that our staffs have used. So this one is just on the extras. The board is not requesting for it, but we want to have it just in case. Do you understand? So we are going to change this. So 58% of our, okay, in fact, let's leave it as percentage because we want to work with it by percentage. So 58% of our staff, they are between the years of 0 to 3 years. They've spent 0 to 3 years in the system. 6% have spent 3 to 5 years in the system. 5% have spent between 5 to 6 years, and 31% have spent above 6 years. So that means to tell us that only these 2 particular years spent, this particular tenure spent, are the highest number of staffs or the highest rate of staff that we have currently in the business. We don't have much in between this range. The focus of more staff is between the 0 to 3, which could mean that more staffs have left. Between the 0 to 3 years could be saying that more staffs have left, which could also be insinuating that we need to work on our retention strategy. As you can see, the staffs that have spent above 6 years is only 31% that have spent above 6 years. And if we want to know, if you want to dig deeper, if you want to know the age range of those that have stayed longer, is it the older people that are spending more years, or is it the younger people that have spent more years? You can go ahead and include another data set if you want to include. You can add the, what's it called, age range. You can add age range to this, including into column, but for this purpose, I'm not going to do this so that it doesn't, we've been here for quite some time. This is already 12:49, so I want us to be done as quick as we can. So for this, we can now say, okay, let's even see the number of people. Let's look at count, yeah, rather than percentage. From your no calculations, and then we're seeing, we'll see, okay, let's see, it said 58%, 58 of our staff is between the 0 to 3 years, 31% is between above 6 years. Do you understand? So we have 31 staff and 58 staff. So what exactly is happening? Do you get? So let's return this to what's it called? Let's return this to percentage of grand total. So we've done this already. So if you want to add any other thing, you can go ahead and add as you please. Now we are done with the request of the board. Now, how do we add to chart? Right? How do we create charts for each of these particular, what's it called? Each of these particular pivot analysis that has been done. So we are going to be, the charts that we are going to be creating, we are going to be trying to, align them, but we're not going to be working on more of the alignment here because it is not, we are not reporting this data. You can align it in your HR database to make it look nice so that anybody that comes in to the HR database or views the HR database can, see it and be somewhat impressed. So for this one, we are not working too much on the alignment. If we are displaying for reporting, if you are working on the reporting, then we can now go ahead and work on alignment. So before we start creating charts, I already said I wanted to insert the slicer. So we come here, the slicer is in the insert button. As you can see, it's here. You can see the slicer right beside the timeline. So select the slicer button. So we want to view by, what's it called? Let's use by department so that we can be able to view holistically. Let's say we want to view by department, yes. And I press OK. And the slicer is brought out. This is what the slicer looks like. So before I cut and paste, okay, we are doing it on the dashboard already. Okay, so let's just leave it here. Let's leave it here. Let's cut and paste here. So you can use the Ctrl X to cut. It still carries the same value. It's still going to be referencing. So right now it's only referencing this particular data because this is where I made the slicer from. All right. So we would come to sheet 2, paste the same. So the slicer still works. All right. So because I wanted to snap to the edge of the cells, you can use the Alt and Move button. As you can see, it's snapping. You can either snap to the middle or snap to the beginning of the line or the end of the line. So we've snapped this. If I want to reduce this as well, I want it to snap, so yeah, snapped as well. So that's how it is being displayed. Hold on, please. I need to see if we have people in the lobby. Okay, we don't have anybody in the lobby. So that's how it is going to be displayed if you want to display it as, the slicer to select certain or display what it will look like for us in certain certain departments. So I'm using the Alt again to snap it to the end of this particular cell. So let's start imputing our pivots into chart. So we can come here, right click on your mouse. Right click on your mouse and you will see these report connections. There's a report connections here. So we are going to report, as you can see, it's only data table 16, which is the one that we created the slicer out of, is the only one that is selected. So what we are going to do is select all of the pivot table that has been created so far and press OK. So what that automatically does is that it links this slicer to the pivot what's it called, analysis that has been done here. So now we're going to be creating charts for each of them. Okay, so let's go to, okay, just show me stock design. I didn't ask you to show me this. Okay, so let's come to pivot table analyze. Okay, hold on, please. Insert pivot table analyze design. Hold on, please. Hold on, please. Okay. Okay. So all you just need to do is tap. I was selecting the old data, so that's why it's giving me that error. So let's create a pivot chart for this particular the breakdown. We want to see the distribution of each of our departments. We've already created it. All we need to do is just create a what's it called, a chart to display. So remember, it is wrong for you to have your data labels slant. If you are using a data chart, we cannot be bending our heads to read what's it called, to read whatever it is, whatever value you are trying to show us. So the best thing to do, as you can see, this one is showing us as slanted. I can either click this and expand so that it can be wide, but we are not going to be using column chart for this. We are going to be using the bar chart. Here you can see that it is properly aligned. Now we select this. We press OK, and it is displayed. You cut here. Ctrl X is what I used to cut, by the way. And we bring it here. And we paste. All right. Don't forget, it is still in link with this one. It is linked with this one, so we are not doing anything strange. So what we need to do now is we don't want this to be showing. What's this showing as here? Count of department. We don't want this. So what we can do is you hide all field buttons on charts, because these are called field buttons. You can click on hide all field buttons and you're back to this. So because we want the board to see that, okay, this is the particular data we are working with. So we can rename this as count, however you want to rename it, count per department. Yeah. So we can rename this as count per department. Let's squeeze this down a bit. Let's make it look a little bit, let's snap it to the edge as well. So we have brought this down a bunch to make it look quite decent. So what we are going to be doing now is we are going to be letting it show us a data label, right? Just click on this cross icon here, right beside the data chart. You can see legends, you can see grid lines, you can see error bars. So what we want to see is the data labels. The data labels can either be in the center, it can either be at the inside end, it can either be at the inside base, it can either be outside end, which is most likely what we are going to use. That's the default setting. It is on the outside end. And then there's data callout. This one is very it's disgusting to the eyes. It's terrible to use. So let's not use that. So we are going to use the data label, just like that. So our default is showing us the count of staff per department. So we are coming back. We are repeating the same process for all of them. Okay. So we'll come here. Let's see if we. Okay. So you can select all till the last, or you can just click any one of them and we can't change this part of the, okay, apologies for that. So create another pivot chart. Since we are still working with, what's it called? We are still working with we're not working with proportion now. We are working with the one that we can use the column chart, which is the comparison still. So we would be using either the bar chart or the column chart. And as you can see, the column chart is showing me slant, and I don't want it to show me slant. So let's see if we can still use the bar chart, right? We would use the bar chart for this purpose. And I think for that, okay, yes, let's use the bar chart. So I would Ctrl X to cut and paste here. Select where you want it to be pasted. I come here, paste it here, and it is displayed as a bar chart. As you can see now, we have this here. Remember, we are not adding any what's it called? We are not making it fine. We are not beautifying it. We are just analyzing the data. When we come to the point of data, reporting, then we can now work towards, making it, pretty to the eyes. So now we are working on this. I'm making it stay snap to the same line, even if it's not even looking. If you're not working towards making it look too fine, at least we'll let it be on align on the same. What's it called? Snap. Let it snap to each cells. So this is snapped. This is snapped. We've already gotten the data. Repeat the same thing that you did here. For the count per departments, repeat the same thing here. Remove, what's it called? Hide all field settings, rename. So because we are working on location, we can call this count per location. All right. That's that for this one. But because it's looking too tiny, I want to make this one longer. Let's now it looks better like this. So we can take this. You might not follow my arrangement. You can arrange whichever way you want to. It's as long as it's pleasing to you, as long as you like how it is showing, then you can bring this here. Let's zoom out. Now we've seen what this looks like, right? All right, so we would make this to display data labels because we want to know in counts. It's not, the data labels are looking kind of tiny, so we can bolden them. You can mess around with it. Don't mess around to the extent that you destroy your data. You can do this as well, make it bolden, make this also bolden, so that it can be visible. So let's try the slicer that we have created. Now, if I click on the business development, it will show me number of locations that we have business development, and it will show me the count of business development here. Now, as you click this, as you can see, it is reading my data. It's going through, it's still analyzing. So it has shown me number of count here. So now you can see we have 4 business developments in Port Harcourt, 4 in Okpebi, 4 in Ogun State, 1 in MM2, 1 in Ikeja, 1 in head office, 1 in Asaba, 1 in so on and so forth. So if I come here, click Control, so it changes. So this is working. So the slicer is working. The way you can now close the filter, go back to default, is by clicking this button here. Now it goes back. You can see the full display. So we'll come here and repeat this. I want to make sure that I do everything before we end today's class. And maybe the next session we would. Oh, and then there's also how to. Okay, this one is like an additional one. How to create a notification for birthdays. So we might not touch this. Maybe the next class because of we're out of time. So for this, we will come back. We'll now check on the range. Would sorry, this is not going to show because I'm selecting the grand total. So we'll check on the range, create pivot charts. Remember, we are working with trend, so we want it to display as lines, right? So we are selecting this one, press OK. Cut the selected, place here, display, and reduce as you please. All right. So we want it to be the same as the one that is on the top. Let me take this. Okay. All right. Let's do it at the same as the one that is on the top. We have this here. Repeat the same process. I don't know if you can see it. Okay. Repeat the same process. Hide all value. Rename this. As you can see, it's not dented. It's not showing. It's not bent. So we can read this, so it's fine. So we can bring this to recruitment trend. Recruitment. We can bring this to recruitment trend. So by this, you can tell. Let's add data labels. And so you can say in 2016, we recruited 8 staffs. In 2017, we recruited 18. In 2018, we recruited 7. In 2019, we recruited 5. In 2021, we recruited 10, and so on and so forth. So if you want to analyze deeper, you can say, okay, why did we recruit lesser in 2019? Was it because we had less openings? Was it because we didn't need extra hand? Was it because we were performing well to the extent that we don't even need to hire more people? Why is the recruitment in 2023 higher than it is in the previous year? Why is it 2024 lesser than it is in 2023? Is it that our retention strategies are working? So all of those data are things that you can now still gather and check for more. We can't do all of that. Trust me, we can't treat all of those topics here because this is just it's a virtual training where we can only just cover a bit of the topic. Then we can move forward from there. I think we've shown count per location, count per department, recruitment trend. What else are they requesting by the board? Grades. All right, let's do grades. Let's do grades. Where do we have the grades? Okay, this is the grades here. Sorry, give me a moment. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's check the grade. Now we have this here. So we copy this pivot data and pivot table analyze. We create the charts. So which one do we use? Do we use the column? Do we use the bar? As long as we are still showing difference in comparison, you can use any of the both, as long as it works. You know, as long as we don't have to be bending our eyes. But for this, we are going to be using the bar chart. Is anybody in the waiting room? I'm not. Okay. Mr. Paul is in the waiting room, so you're here. I am lost. I will get the video for review. Oh, somebody's saying this. AY. That's why I said you can open your mic if you are lost. Just let me know where you are lost. Mr. AY has been lost since 12:55.
I do not want to interrupt you, so I was waiting that after the class.
No, you could still. What happened? Where were you lost? Where did we lose you? Or would you still prefer to watch the video again?
I would prefer to watch the video. I
Okay.
don't lost it there. I just watch other.
Okay, that's understandable. That's understandable. All right, so here we are going to cut it. All right, we are going to come back here because we have this in display. Let's zoom out a bit. As you can see, we've already started working with design here. So let's zoom in a bit. Let's paste this here. You can say, okay, because of this, we will remove view. Now let's change grade, staff grade. Or you can just say grade count. Let's just call it grade count. Let's just call this grade count, right? And then repeat the same. It's just like repeating the same thing, repeating the same thing. From here, select data labels. Let's display, bolden it. I didn't think we bolden this one. Okay, bolden this as well, so that it's well displayed. So we've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 data displayed now. All right. Now let's go back to, have we said everything they want? Everything that is done here. We've done number of staff is well displayed here. That can be done in the reporting. I wish we could. Okay, number of staff per department has been shown. Number of staff per department, count per department has been shown. Now, number of location has been done as well. Staff per location, grades, recruitment trend. Now, the best recruit, gender bifurcation. Okay, I think we need to show the gender bifurcation as well. So we'll come here. Select gender bifurcation. Because we are showing proportion, we would be using the pie chart. Okay, so we're selecting this. So let's cut this out, bring it here, drop it down here as well. As you can see, I didn't reduce this because of the aesthetics of it. Let it snap to the top. Oh, no, not snap to that. Okay, so we'll reduce this to fit in the display. So we'll take this off, repeat the same process, rename this gender. Because it's not big enough, I don't want to reduce the fonts. You can call it gender bifurcation, you can call it gender demographic, whatever you feel you need to call it. So now we want to change the colors. The colors are not, they are not what it represents. So female, we want it to display. As you can see, let's go back. Let's come back here. Select the chart itself. Select the aspect you are trying to color. Click here twice. All right. Then you can now, sorry, hold on. It's saying we can't drill. Okay, let's include fields. Okay, let me check if the field buttons are here. All right. So you can select this twice. You can either come home, change the color to pink. How do we get pink? We can select more colors. So you can see pink here, whichever pink's best suits your eye, whichever one. I'm not good with colors like that. So this is the best pink to my own eyes. So we are making that pink. And for the male, we are coming back here, selecting it And drill here. Select this form. We'll make this, let's say, dark blue, because that's the color of is represented by men, or used to represent men. Sorry. So we can make this color, or let's make it darker. No, it's fine like this. It's fine like this. So you can have this color, or you can change it to what the color, whichever blue. You can make the blue rhyme with this one. You can make the blue any type of blue, as long as it's pictorially representing what you're trying to make it represent. So we have the gender already. Now let's say, okay, we want to work towards who is the best recruiter. We want to know who the best recruiter is. Okay. Now we'll come back to this HR data set. All right. As you can see, we have the names of the recruiter here. This is where data validation comes in. All right. Let's see. We want to know how many recruiters we actually even have. We want to know how many recruiters we have. So once you've clicked here on any what's it called, cell, you come to data. You can see this tiny little icon here. Is what is called data validation. So I click data validation. It's asking me a question. It's saying, do I want it as any value? Now I'm going to say list because I'm working with a list. Now, under this source, my source is going to be, let's see if it is going to recognize our employee data. Okay, it's not recognizing it. So we'll go there manually. Let's pick this guy right here. So that's our data source, because it's the one that have the field of our recruiters. So now we have a data validation. If I click here now, you see the names of our recruiters. We have Levi, Samson, Mayowa, Thompson, Thomas, and Yusuf. Now let's check how many has each of them done. How many has anybody? Each of our recruiters actually done. So you can use the count if formula, which would help you to count following a particular logic. So as you can tap here, let's color this so that we can know where we. Let's color this so that we can know where we are. So I don't have to go back and start looking for it. And then we color this one. Let's use gray. All right. So we say equal to count. Count if. Now our range is, what is our range? This same data set for recruiter. That's our range. Then comma, remember comma is what helps you to move to the next statement. What is the criteria? The criteria is going to be whatever is selected here. Okay. So if I come here now and say, okay, because I've not inputted any data here, it's still showing me 0. Let's see number of recruited. Okay, so let's call this list of, let's call this list of recruiters. Okay. So the reason why I had to rename it was because as I left it at 0, it was the formula I used at the beginning, or the view code I used at the beginning to help me readjust each of the cell is coming into work. So what I'm going to do now is, because there's no data here, this is going to be showing me 0. So as I'm going to see for Levi, how many staffs did Levi recruit? 18 staffs. How many did Samson recruit? 21 staffs. How many did Mayowa recruit? Mayowa recruited 32. Thomas recruited 17. Yusuf recruited 12. Yusuf recruited 12. So by the views and the looks of it, you know that Mayowa is the highest. I had to use my name because who else will I use? Mayowa is the highest recruiter. So this is how we know who the highest recruiter is. You could also repeat the same process by creating what's it called? A pivot data analysis here as well. But because I wanted to show us how the data validation works, that's why we had to create this particular format. So now you can see my is the highest. So in your reporting, you can now include that. You can display it however you wish to display. And I think, okay, we are done with all of this. Now the last aspect is the increment. Now let's say the board has requested, or we are trying to create a new business case. Let's insert. So I have inserted a new space here. We are going to rename this. Okay. I think we should have done this before we created the table, but regardless, we can refresh and, you know, everything falls back in place. Let's say increment. Okay. So what we can do here is we would practically be using the if formula. So I'll say, oh, sorry about that. This is the issue we face without pressing the, what's it called? Open parenthesis. So if I say, if this particular person here, we want to increase their salary, for senior staffs, we want to increase their salary by 20%. By junior staff, we want to increase their salary by 10%. And for management staff, we want to increase their salary by 50%. So you could also still use this same formula. It's very easy. Since we've already gone through this over and over and over and over again, I don't think it will become an issue for us. So if select the first one under the staff breakdown, remember we're working with staff breakdown, is equal to